Voices of Truth, one-on-one with Hawaii's future, brought to you by the Kiwani Foundation. I'm Ehu Keikahu Cardwell, and here we are today on the island of Oahu. We're out in the Hawaii Kai area. A beautiful day in Hawaii, Nay. We have a very interesting guest on the show today. Let's go on over here and meet him. We're standing like in a farm or something today, right?
You're right. This is a farm. It's a farm in Mauna Lua. We believe it or not, we still do have farmland in Mauna Lua, which I prefer to call the area. It's its traditional name. Most people know it as Hawaii Kai nowadays, but Mauna Lua still has farmland. We have a row of farms that stretch behind the high school here, Kaiser, and at the foot of Kohe Lepe Lepe, or Pu'umai, or also known as Coco Crater. And also deep behind Mauna Lua, we have farms still up in Kamilunui Valley.
Wow, so the ancient name for this place was Mauna Lua.
They called it Mauna Lua, yeah, and that's two mountains. Kohe Lepe Lepe, Pu'umai.
This one here?
And down Makai we have Kuomo'okane, or Coco Head.
And why did you bring us up here today?
Well, you might wonder, I've been active in the community in various aspects, but being from Niu, I was born and raised in Niu, and just growing up on this side of the island.
So you were born and raised right here is what you're saying?
Almost, yeah, two valleys to the west in Niu.
Wow.
Yeah, and then seeing it from the 50s, seeing the transformation of Mauna Lua from farmland, ranchland, fish ponds, country, to what it is now. It's to
Hawaii Kai.
Well, that's what they call it.
Yeah.
Fairly well developed neighborhood, of course, which you can see. So there's been a great transition, say, over the last 50 some odd years, which is basically my lifetime.
Kimo, I'm just struck by the beautiful colors here. Just standing right here, looking at the crops, at the beautiful ocean out there, and where we are today. This is really amazing.
One of the really neat things of this up here is the view, of course. You can see, basically, if you go 360, you can see a lot.
Well, there's the back of Diamond Head right there, Leahi, yeah?
Right, so the community's effort to restore Mauna Lua Bay has been, basically, you can see almost all of Mauna Lua Bay right in front of us. So from Kupikipikio, or Black Point, east to Kawaihoa, which is the Portlock area. That whole area is basically Mauna Lua Bay. And so this one area where there's been the heaviest concentration of invasive limu, we've been able to remove from the Paiko area, which is just Makai of Niu and Kuli'o'o. About 27 acres plus has been removed out there over the last few years. So all that algae has been able to go Mauka. It's been able to go to some of the farms in Mauna Lua, including Edotsuji. And Edotsuji has done a tremendous job in using this invasive algae, limu, and composting. As a matter of fact, right behind us, you can see he's brought tons of this. We brought tons of this material up here and dropped it for Ed's use on the farm.
This stuff right here.
Yeah, this is all.
So this is the dried invasive seaweed,
right,
from down there at the ocean.
Yes.
That's brought up here, dries out, and then it's used as fertilizer, huh?
This is used as compost, yeah.
Wow.
Soil amendment for the growing
to
of the
loosen the soil.
Yeah, it helps the structure of the soil, but it also does supply some nutrients. So what really the ideal thing is, and what Ed does along with some of the other farmers, is they take the algae and they incorporate it into other organic matter. They create a nice mixture of different types of materials, so they get a fairly well blended compost, which they can incorporate into the ground and grow their vegetables in. The algae itself, this one species, they call it Avranvelia almadelpha, or we like to call it leather mudweed, and it's really a quite beefy material. They don't call it leather for nothing.
Yeah, I see that. It's tough.
It's very thick. It's hard to break down. It's not like some of the other invasive algae like Gorilla Ogo, which also is another good soil amendment. Actually, even Gorilla Ogo is a little bit higher in nutrients, maybe such as potassium and stuff. But with this, it eventually does break down once you incorporate it into the compost piles. It heats up. Once it gets into the soil, the microbes in the soil do help break this material down. Not a lot of nitrogen or phosphorus in it, maybe some potassium, but there's some micro minerals in this material which the plants like, maybe calcium, magnesium, things such as that. And we're finding out, and we learned from the University of Hawaii. We did go to the university because we wanted to cover all our bases, make sure that when we brought this material, Mauka, we were introducing something that was going to be proper, for the for the soil. We didn't want to run the risk of not knowing and finding out that, gee, we shouldn't have done that later on. So
it is proper and it is useful.
Yes, it is. And
wow.
It was tested to find out what the nutrient and chemical makeup of it was, and through the university advising us, we were able to determine that it was going to be okay to use on the farms, and the farmers have used it for the last several years with great success in growing their crops.
Wow. Yeah. Kimo, let's talk for a second about Mauna Lua Bay. In ancient times, it didn't look anything like this, yeah?
No.
And in ancient times, it was used, what did it look like and what was it used for?
Well, Mauna Lua has changed drastically since the time before. It is a highly, well, it's a developed area now, a lot of residential, a lot of concrete, a lot of pavement, a lot of houses have sprung up out here over the last 30, 40 years. Before, though, we had a lot of areas out here which were very, very valuable to society, and they're still here, although they've been transformed in a lot of ways. But as you can see, not only Mauna Lua Bay, which was before development, was one of the highest productive fishing grounds in all of Hawaii. There were a lot of fish in this area.
So we're talking pre-Western contact.
Pre-Western contact.
Thousands of years ago.
Thousands of years ago, yeah. Hundreds of years ago. And even up until recent, up until the early 1900s, on into the mid-1900s, 1940s, 1950s, there was a lot of fish, a lot of things going on out here. You not only had Mauna Lua Bay, but you had Kuapa Fish Pond, or Keahupua o Mauna Lua is a traditional Hawaiian name for what people know now as Koko Marina. But it was the biggest fish pond in all of Hawaii, possibly all of Polynesia, 500 some odd acres, 523 some odd acres, if I'm not mistaken.
So this was like a huge supermarket for the people out here.
This was, yes, it was a big area where a lot of food could be obtained. Fishing, there were a lot of fish that were produced. In the 1900s, there were families that came in and they took care of the fish pond. There were several makaha out at the very edge. There was basically only a seawall running makai of Mauna Lua. There wasn't a road with land. That's all fill land. It was dredged up from the marina when it was dredged out and brought in for that channel out on Makai side. But before, it was just a wall, and there were families who took care of the place. And they harvested fish from the fish pond and they sold it. Before that, it was a fish pond for the ali'i. I'm not an expert on this, but I believe the fish from Keahupua o Mauna Lua were for ali'i. But not only a great fishery resource out here with the fish pond, the mullet, the ava, and everything that was produced in it, but also the land area, the kula. They called this place Kekulo Kaumawai. It was a famous sweet potato planting place, so this area was also known for a lot of uala production.
Sweet potato?
Sweet potato, uala, yeah. Matter of fact, even at the foot of Pu'uma'i here, they had a lot of terraces where uala was grown previously.
In ancient times? In
ancient times, yes. So it's interesting, and when you go into some of the hills and valleys, you can still see old walls which are still intact. And from speaking with some of the kupuna and stuff, they say those walls were pre-ranching day walls. So there were a lot of sweet potato walls. Some of them still exist up on the hillsides and in the valleys in this area.
So those walls are like hundreds of years old then?
Hundreds of years old,
wow.
Yeah. And when the ranching came in, they were gradually dismantled. The cattle, dismantled them. The stones
knocked them down.
Knocked them down.
Yeah.
The stones were used for other things.
Yeah.
So a lot of those walls gradually disappeared over the years. And then of course with residential development coming in, starting in the early 60s. Things just kind of disappeared, but we still have some of that around in the more remote areas, up on the Mauka areas. So a terrific place, fishing, fish ponds, farming, ranch land, and we even still have a horse ranch. I call it a horse ranch. It's actually an equestrian center in Koko Crater. There's horses still in the area, so it's always kind of neat to go in there, and it kind of takes you back to the days of old in Mauna Lua.
Kimo, I noticed that there's some people over here harvesting the crops, huh?
Yeah.
What is this all about?
This is some of the folks. So they're actually up there harvesting vegetables. They have a good crop rotation system up here. They're often harvesting, and they go to so many farmers markets, and they sell a lot to the stores and to the public that they're always active.
What is the crop up there?
Good question. I think it's a cabbage of some sort. maybe it's a bok choy or
Yeah, it looks like
something.
bok choy.
Yeah, I believe.
Yeah.
I believe that's what.
Yeah,
Don't
wow.
hold me to it.
Wow, okay, we won't. Can we walk up this way?
Yes. We can.
Excellent. So what, you know, when I stand here and look at this and listen to you, I'm just struck by how, you know, you've talked about and described what this place was like thousands of years ago and what it did to sustain the population back then. Then you talked about how, you know, the time rolled on and so-called progress came in and really changed this place. Whether it's for the better or not, I guess, is controversial. But then here's a farm here that is beginning to reclaim again what this place is really all about, yeah?
Yes. This farmland that remains in Mauna Lua is really, I think, important to many in the community, and I think I can vouch for many in the community by saying that we really want it to remain. You know, there used to be a lot of farms in this area, a lot of truck farms, a lot of ranches.
And this is back in what year?
Well, this is back in all the way from the the early 1920s, 1930s, and then post World War II on up until when development started. Up until
so not that long ago.
Not that long ago, and fortunately we've been able to hold on to just basically just two areas in Mauna Lua where there are farms remaining, and they're very important to the community. I love farming. I'm not a farmer, but I went to university. I majored in agriculture, and I've been active in some ways and with it going in over the years. But just having these areas, including Edotsuji Farm, the row of farms running Mauka behind the school here, and also you can see way Mauka behind the fish pond up there is Kamilunui Valley, and that valley.
Yes, that valley right up there, way up there.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. That valley up there is one of the last, or it is the last undeveloped valley in East Honolulu. It's Kamilunui Valley. There are still a dozen or so farms up in the area, nurseries and vegetable farms, and just being able to retain these farms in this area, at the foot of Koko Crater, up in the valley, Kamilunui Valley, those areas really help keep the neighborhood balanced. We really hate to see any more houses and concrete and things be thrown up in those areas, but we really want to try and hold on to our last agricultural lands and take those vegetables and those produce and these plants that they produce and be able to sustain ourselves as best as we can.
So Kimo, 60, 70 years ago, how many farms would you say would have been here in this area?
Gee, I'm not sure, but farms were, of course, that was in the day before Keahupua Mauna Lua was dredged out. But actually the fish pond did still go way back into Mauka, into this Ahupua. I don't know how many farms there were, but they're probably, I know that Lunalilo Home Road, as soon as you turned off the highway and you went Mauka on Lunalilo, you had farms pretty much all on the right side as you drove up, and there were piggeries, there were pig farms up deep in the valleys. I remember growing up in Niu, early 60s, there were still a couple of chicken farms up behind what's now Niu Valley Middle School.
So there were a lot of farms here, yeah?
Yes, this is a heritage of the place, farming, ranching, fish ponds.
Wow, and so today, how many farms are there here?
Well, I think between what's up in Kamilunui, with maybe approximately a dozen up there, and maybe another 8 to 10, maybe, I'm guessing, right behind, right at the foot of Pu'umai, maybe about 20-ish, something like that, I would say.
So huge reduction.
Yes.
Kimo, why is a farm like this important to still have here today?
As I say, it's really important, I think, to the community. We can feed ourselves with we don't need a lot of land, and we don't have a lot of land left for farming in Mauna Lua, but we can still, with the farms that we have, they're very productive, a lot of them, and they can still produce a lot of the food that we need in this area and beyond. So it's, in my opinion, it's very important.
How many acres on this farm here?
I'm not sure. I think Ed has roughly about 4 or 5 acres, if I'm not mistaken.
So very small.
Not too big, yeah.
Yeah.
I think, a lot of truck farms in Hawaii, they weren't that big, 2, 3, 4, 5 acres, but they all survived over time in the old days as they did their thing.
How many people know that this even exists here right now?
Well, I don't know. I'm sure there's a lot of people in the area that don't know about it, but there are quite a few people that do, and I think with the efforts, the sustainability efforts, the farmers becoming more visible in the community through just selling from their own farms on, say, Saturday mornings, or from being out in the community at the farmers markets. And then a lot of the smaller stores, some of the health food stores in the area, they're actually, they're promoting the local farming, of course. People, they're into that now. They want to try and buy local and eat local, and it's healthier, it's sustainable, it's more feasible, really. And
Wow.
it'll help Hawaii's survival in the long run.
Wow. So it all comes around again, doesn't it?
I think so, and it's really good because at Makai Connection, we can even demonstrate it. This is an exportable model, and you can do these kinds of things in these developed areas where a lot of people know this place really only for houses and development and so forth. But when you can bring these things out and show them and display them and see how we make that Makai connection, it's almost like we're following the ancient Hawaiian tradition of ahu pua'a in this modern day and age. If we can take what we have in this day and age and build that system back into it, maybe it needs to be tweaked a little or what have you, but to bring back that whole knowledge and apply it again and use it however we can in what we got now.
Because it worked in the old days. If it worked then, it'll work now.
No reason why it shouldn't. Yeah, and take that into the future as things continue to change into the future. Reintroduce those things so we can become more sustainable and not be relying on things from outside, and we can still be attached to our land and close to our land. That's what's important.
Kimo, the fact that this farm is here has obviously had probably a big effect on the community here, yeah?
Yeah, let's say the farming is important to a community like this, which is, a lot of it is houses and things now, but there's just, the community is becoming quite active, not only, Makai on projects and events down there, but also in Mauka areas. We're working with groups, such as Malama Maunalua to formulate huis in the neighborhoods to address stormwater runoff issues.
So groups of community members have gotten excited and want to get involved in projects down by the ocean and also up here in the mountains.
Because we know when we talk about Mauka Makai, when we talk about ahu pua'a, we know what's occurring on land nowadays is having in many regards a negative effect on our ocean, our nearshore reefs, no ocean environment. So you have water runoff issues, stormwater runoff. You have sediment, you got pollution, all these things running from our properties, our streets, and out into our water bodies such as Kuapa and Maunalua Bay. And so we're working on things such as stream cleanups, adopt a stream programs, adopt a block type programs.
Adopt a block?
Adopt a block, yeah.
Where you take a block and make the whole block better?
Well, we basically just having a group on that street say, we'll keep the curbs clean. So it's really people, besides just keeping your front yard clean, take it a step further and really, the kuleana should be to go out and sweep your curbside too, because if you can keep your curb clean, the street, immediately in front of your property clean, that removes all that debris and pollution and sediment from the curbs and prevents it from washing into the storm drains. All of the storm drains are basically, tributaries out into Kuapa and out into Maunalua Bay. That's not filtered. So anything you see on the curbs, the streets coming from our properties that washes off, it all goes straight into the ocean.
So even stuff that happens up here goes right down to the ocean, affects all the way down there, right?
Right. So if you have erosion control problems, if you got erosion on your lot, and every time it rains, the water runs off and it takes that sediment with it, all that stuff goes into the streets, goes into the storm drains, and goes out into the bay, and that's really causing havoc on our nearshore ocean resources, the coral, the fisheries, the limu. We talked about the invasive limu. The invasive limu seems to thrive in this mucky sediment type stuff, so we're trying to...
So it grows even more and chokes stuff even more then, huh?
And the sediment gets trapped in it, and that kills the native limu, that kills the coral, it reduces the fish population. So we know that we got to do things on land, so we are actively going out, the community, Malama Maunalua and so forth, other groups in the area to address stormwater runoff issues. So if people are out there and they hear about this and they want to become involved, then they can contact Malama Maunalua in the community here and learn more about what they can do to become active in reducing stormwater runoff, harvesting rainwater through the use of rain gardens, rain barrels, things such as that.
Wow, isn't it interesting that if you want to make the ocean better, it starts by making the mountain better?
And in the day, and the Kanaka in the day old, they knew that, you know?
Yeah,
they knew that.
They knew that.
They knew that.
How come we didn't know that?
I don't know. I often scratch my head. I don't know these things. You know, I think it's long overdue that we start to catch on.
Yeah.
And we got to catch up for lost ground. I mean, we got a lot of work to do.
So when did you get involved in this, Kimo?
Well, I don't know. Since I was, you know, I was born and raised in this area, so I've always been attached to it. I've always, you know, loved this area. I've seen it change from, you know, the farming, you know, from the late 50s when I was born to what it is today. So this transformation, but just wanted to, you know, since it's my area that I grew up in, I just feel like I have a kuleana or a responsibility to go out and contribute however I can as an individual and join in and be a part of hopefully efforts that are good for the land and the ocean.
Wow. And what specific things do you do here?
Well, I'm involved, you know, I've been involved. I was one of the original members to go out and remove invasive algae off the Paiko area. So I've been involved with coordinating with the community through Malama Maunalua, the invasive algae removal out there. I've also been involved in spearheading and arranging for composting of the invasive algae with the local farmers here in Maunalua. Right now I'm currently involved also with Malama Maunalua in going out into the community and as we just talked about, spearheading some of these Mauka efforts to reduce water runoff issues into Maunalua Bay.
Wow, that's a lot of work.
It's fun. I mean, it's like the commute is easy from up the road to my workplace is basically everywhere around here, you know, down the ocean, Mauka, up in the valleys, on the farms, in the canals, in the streams, everywhere in between. So it's my fun job. What can I say?
Wow, it's a passion, huh?
I guess so. Probably with a capital P. So
passion with a capital P. I love it.
Yeah.
So has the community really embraced this here?
They're catching on. I think a lot of people are coming around. We got good community participation, so I really commend the community for them coming out and wanting to be a part of this, wanting to be involved in it. Really, if it wasn't for them who helped us with the algae removal and actually now starting to help us on the Mauka projects and so forth, we couldn't do it. You know, you can't do anything with a small staff in a nonprofit organization or a small, you know, just one small hui there, one small group here. You got to really engage and go out with the community and try and just, you know, do whatever you can to engage them and listen to them, because a lot of them have been here for a long time, so they may know more than you or I about what's really the issues in the area or what needs to be done. So just with open ears, listening to them and taking that into consideration and going out and being very inclusive, you know, just inviting everybody to be a part of this, because more hands make light work.
Yes.
So if we can really engage, I think the community, I really commend them and thank them, because they've been very helpful in us striving and moving forward to achieve some of these goals.
Wow.
Yeah.
You know, Kimo, Voices of Truth airs throughout Hawaii on all the islands, but it also airs in a lot of cities around the world. And probably right now, somebody on the other side of the globe, on the other side of the planet is watching this, going, man, what Kimo did is really inspiring, but I don't know if I could do that where I live. What would you say to them?
You just got to go out. You got to just start somewhere. You know, just going out there and, you know, starting small. It was just small group of people in the very beginning, removing algae. And, you know, it's funny, you know, back then people would kind of walk by and ask, hey, what are you guys doing? Oh, we're trying to remove some invasive algae. And just
pulling weeds.
Yeah, we're pulling weeds, yeah. And then they would just kind of shake their head going, you guys are crazy, you guys are nuts. But, you know, it's amazing how just from being persistent about doing that, we were able to get recognition and get resources, funding, what have you, to make a big dent in the area and expand that into other areas. So you got to start somewhere, you know, go out and just get started, get your feet wet, get your hands dirty, talk to others, and they say you start small, you take baby steps, but that's how everything starts. And often if it's something good for your area, it's gonna turn into something great. Yeah,
everything starts with the first step, doesn't it?
Yeah.
Kimo, what would you like this area to become in the future? What's your vision for this area?
Well, I think I want to see it balance out. You know, we've had a lot of change in the last few decades with the development, the homes and everything coming in. We've lost a lot, but we still have some of that, and being able to retain that and bring that back, reintroduce education, culture, make people aware. Once people have an awareness for things, they're going to be much more likely to step forward and want to take care of it or do something good, versus if they don't have any knowledge, any awareness on, maybe they're new to the area or what have you, being able to know something about it, I think is good, because that's going to make people interested and want to take care of it too, versus if they don't know, there's no awareness building, people aren't going to know and they're not going to care. So I just want to see bigger programs come back, educational programs. We really try and engage the students and the schools to be a part of this, because they're really going to take it beyond us and the community. So once people can learn about some of these Mauka Makai issues and things that are trying to be done to improve them, they can become a part of it, and really we can, as I say, many hands make light work, and really start to make dents and move forward faster, even faster.
Wow, and it improves the area where everybody lives.
I think so. Yeah,
wow.
You got to start somewhere, so why not start where you live?
Mahalo, Kimo, for being on the show.
Oh, mahalo ioi. Mahalo.
And to our viewers, mahalo to you for being with us as we toured this farm today up here. And remember, you can watch Voices of Truth on the web 24/7 on voicesoftruth.tv.com. I'm Ehuke Kahu Cardwell with the Kiwani Foundation, and until next time, ahui ho! Mahalo for watching Voices of Truth one-on-one with Hawaii's Future. Watch us on the web 24/7 at voicesoftruth.tv.com. You'll find all our shows, including this one, in case you want to see it again or share it with family and friends. Also view our weekly video commentaries at freehawaiitv.com. And check out our blog, published daily, at freehawaii.info. It's all part of the Free Hawaii Broadcasting Network.